Hello and welcome
Hello.
back. Welcome to Conservative Moms Unfiltered. New location again. Frontier Coffee is still in the process of moving and rebuilding their studio, and so we don't have access right now. So we are just jumbling around wherever we can fit. Caroline is actually on vacation this week, and we wanted to make sure we put one out. So I brought a guest, and hopefully she's having fun at the beach. Are you glad to be here?
I am excited
Are
and
you?
nervous, yes.
So I guess I should introduce. I figured we're Conservative Moms Unfiltered, so I should bring on one of my kids. So this is my third born, my only daughter, Kenzie.
Hello, everybody.
You want me to tell some things about you, or do you want
Sure,
to?
you can tell them. You know me best.
I do. I do feel like I know you best. She just turned 21. She's a graduate of our local community college here. She's a dancer.
Yes,
She
teacher.
does teacher, yeah, dance teacher. She does social media content communications at our church, and she nannies for a bunch of children. She is,
Jack of all
jack of all
trades.
trades, master of none,
And
right?
I love it.
She likes the chaotic, every day's a different thing versus the monotony of the same
8 to
job,
5,
8 to
doing the
5.
same thing over and over.
Yeah.
So,
You're currently, though, trying to figure out like what you want to do for the fall, right?
yes, I'm not really sure. I know I'm going to keep teaching dance.
Yeah, you've applied.
And
Haven't you? You're working on applications
working on it. We will see if
for
they will get
some.
back to me, actually.
Yeah,
Still going to babysit because that is my favorite thing ever.
for sure.
And I don't know what
Anything
else.
else new? You said you were teaching dance, picking up
Mhm.
some more classes and that. So,
Yep.
all right. Well, I guess we're gonna dive in. We're a little scattered, so I'm not sure how well this is gonna go. But I figured like, what? Oh, I figured since she was raised by a conservative mom, we would touch on some of those things and how it like affected her life or didn't affect her life or made her who she is today. Helped her, not get swayed by the world and stuff. And I thought we'd cover a few things like health, faith, probably not a lot of politics because out of my children, she is
the least
the least
political
political
whatever.
one. She knows what she needs to know. She always votes. We know that's a rule in my house. You have to vote or you don't get Christmas gifts.
Yes.
So she knows that, and she finds out what she needs to. She will take a stand where she needs to take a stand, but
I will.
she doesn't want to live in the political space that I like to live in.
Too much anxiety for that.
I'll bring it up and she'll just look at me like, please stop. Please stop talking
Which
to me.
was great when she started the podcast. Now I don't have to hear about it.
That is
I'm
so
just
true. No, but that is true. Every once in a while, she doesn't mind me telling her something, but most of the stuff
I've gotten better with it now. I
You
will
have.
listen to more of it now.
Yeah, you've had some
So.
people in your life that like politics, so it's been around a little
Yeah.
bit. But that's all right. All right, so what should we go into first?
I don't know. You could
Faith?
start off with.
Health? What do you want to start with?
We could start with politics because that'll be.
You
short.
start with politics?
Did you have a question on politics?
I don't know. I don't think I wrote any questions of politics because I knew you would hate that. Like, where do you think? I mean, I know where you land on here, but I mean,
Where I land.
growing up,
I land with what my mother tells me. I have seen all the research she's done, and so I believe it. I don't just be like, okay, that's fine. Like I know.
Yeah, you trust that I've done
Yeah,
the
I
research
trust
ahead
that
of
she has
time.
done the research, and I know that because I've heard about it enough. So yeah, I just.
But if you didn't have me around and you had to vote for what is a criteria that would be your first?
Well, I don't know if this would be if I didn't have you around, but you talk so much about how we as Christians need to vote on what the Bible tells us is important.
Yeah.
And so looking at the candidates going from there. And I feel like if I didn't have you around because to talk so much about politics, I would probably still land there.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't know as much. I'd just be like, oh, here's one thing, so I'll just go with this.
Which, I mean, for a long time in my life, I just found out who was against abortion and I just went with that and I didn't care about all the other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think for a long time it didn't really matter. Until the last 8 to 10 years, it didn't really matter. It didn't affect our day-to-day life. Now I definitely dig into way more things than just that. All right, that wasn't too bad. That wasn't too bad.
I feel like we could segue into health now because
Okay.
with all like the politics that has
Maha
been
movement.
talking about health stuff and like
Yeah.
trying to get the country a little better.
Yeah. So you were raised in a pretty health conscious
Yes.
home. I mean, I'm not saying we were perfect. We still ate Doritos on occasion, but like never had soda.
No.
No.
Not until I was probably like 14 years old and I did not like it.
No,
And still to this day I don't like carbonated drinks.
No, it's an acquired taste for sure.
I like water.
Yeah, all you guys drink water, eat salad, all the things that a lot of kids do not. Anything about the health and that like the food and that you have like, man, I wish I wasn't raised like that. We always talk about being an ingredient house.
Yes, we are an ingredient house. I wish we had more snacks. I think that's the biggest thing. But other than that, I mean,
and that's
we
just
have
like,
good food. It's not like we eat weird food. Like,
no,
everything's still normal.
We just have to
and
make
good.
it from scratch.
Everything's good because it's what we're supposed to be eating. Yeah. I mean, I don't feel like I really missed out on anything.
No, we do a lot in our house. We could probably touch on this. My kids all have MTHFR, and I don't know if you don't know what that is. It's like a gene. I'm going to call it a gene mutation. I don't think that's the right word though. Maybe it is.
I think it is.
Where their body cannot detox toxins well or at all. And since we live in a country that everything is full of toxins, and one of the leading things that their bodies just reject and wreaks havoc is folic acid. Folic acid is in all American food, all enriched flour, in lots of things. And it is actually a horrible product that doesn't need to be in there. No other country has it in there. We do it. They always say you need folic acid. Like when you're pregnant, you have to take extra folic acid. No, we should not be taking any folic acid. You would get it naturally. You'd naturally get folate in broccoli and lettuce. Spinach, yeah. So you don't need it. But because they've enriched everything with that has dictated how we have to cook in our home. Mm-hmm. So we can't buy anything that's with enriched flour.
Unless it's made in Italy or Mexico.
Yes, Mexico and nice. Italy, we can buy it from that. So that's really dictated a lot of our eating in the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. Probably. 5 or 6 years, we have been hardcore. Yeah, so that kind of affects snacks.
It does.
I'm trying to justify the lack of snacks.
The snacks really are the bummer.
The bummer, it really
is.
It's
okay, I'll go eat some chocolate chips or some croutons. Croutons are a staple.
Oh my goodness gracious. This is making us sound crazy.
Hey, they're good though. No, yeah. Frozen corn. That's a good
ingredient
snack.
House. Mm-hmm. Ingredient house. Wow. All right, we'll talk more about our health. Like other things in your health.
Well, the past few years, my health, so like we figured out that I had MTHFR, so we were working through that, doing like gluten-free stuff, dairy-free stuff. I had a lot of skin problems, so we've been working like with a lot of different foods to see what would help. I actually lately did a food sensitivity test.
Yeah.
Which was a lot to go through, look at, and then like try and
eliminate.
Fix.
Oh my gosh.
There was one point where I was gluten-free, dairy-free, grain-free.
Couldn't have strawberries or cucumbers.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was not enjoyable, actually.
I don't know that it really did a whole lot for me. But I mean, it was good testing to have and to. Yeah. I think for the time, it probably was good to.
Well, and you have
my body to
one of the
spot.
highlighted ones that were like avoid was like sorghum flour.
Yes, and after knowing that, like I have noticed,
every time if she has it, she gets
which
sick.
That isn't a lot of stuff that's gluten free. So then it's like I can't have gluten stuff for folic acid, but then some of the gluten free stuff has sorghum, so that was a problem.
Just a real
but
pain. Yeah.
It's great when you have someone who can cook and does like to cook. So
yeah,
I don't really miss out on it.
They're not starving. Like we can make pizza, we make bread and rolls and hamburger buns and all the things, but it's a lot more on my plate. But that's okay. That's okay. You also got another weird diagnosis in there.
Oh, what's it called? Hemochromatosis.
Hemochromatosis.
Yeah, so apparently I have a blood disorder. So it is...
Hemochromatosis is where your body hangs on to too much iron in the blood.
Mm-hmm.
But your body never utilizes the iron. It just stores it
you
up.
You have a lot, but you're
not
lacking because you're not actually using it.
So most people, if they have hemochromatosis, have to give blood monthly to get it out of their system, because if too much iron stays in your system, you'll end up with a whole host of problems, real bad problems. And so you have to get rid of that all the time. Mm-hmm. So we're just,
yeah, we figured that out. I went to give blood once, which was awful. Awful experience. I do not recommend. But then later we figured out that wasn't what was causing my health problems.
It wasn't causing your health problems.
It is good to know.
It was just a random thing we learned in the process. And so it's good to know. She has it managed really well. So she has not had to give blood. We just check her iron levels and not your iron levels. We check your, I can't think of the word, ferritin levels.
And we can, binding ones.
Yeah, we can keep an eye on it, make sure it doesn't get too high, but,
which we probably need to check soon.
Yeah.
It's probably been a little bit.
Probably, yeah, maybe a little bit. Yeah, so, I mean, we have dealt with quite a few health things, and I think, this is not politics related, but I think that, like, the whole MAHA movement and all that is causing people to look more into so many things. Mm-hmm. And so someone like me, I've been looking into this stuff for a long time. Like I remember when we threw out hydrogenated oils, that was like a long, long, long time ago. Probably not 20 years, but probably close to it. And so all along I've been throwing stuff out. And so these kind of things just are like, okay, we're not eating on cast iron anymore because she does not need any more extra iron and stuff like that. And so I think it helps that I love to deep dive into these things. Yes. But it's also helping that Kennedy is bringing attention to these things like removing the dyes and all that. If they would just get rid of folic acid, I'd be excited. Nice. There's actually a group that's like not petitioning, but like
I told you I was gonna do that. I was like, I'm gonna message him somehow and be like,
yeah, there's actually a group that's involved with MTHFR foundations that's bringing I don't know what it's called, like bills to him to try and get that removed in the United States because we do not need it. And there's so many people.
Aren't there like, how many people
have it? It's like 40% of the United States have MTHFR and they don't even know it. And when you have it, if your body does not have the ability to detox toxins, they're staying in your body. And what happens when toxins stay in your body? You end up with things like cancer or mental things because a lot of like heavy metals in that, they stay in your brain and stuff. And so the more you can detox, the better. So if you have something that makes it where you can never detox, you want to put the least amount of toxins in your body as possible. So we need Kennedy to get on these things. Get on these things. So more health things. Let's just talk about that for a second. So if those that don't know us, if you have never followed us before, we had a traumatic lake accident in 2012. And Kenzie was injured in this lake accident. And my second born lost his life in this lake accident. And so because of that, trauma does crazy things to your body. Trauma
plays a lot into your health.
Plays into your health. It stores in the body in places it doesn't need to store. And it wreaks havoc essentially on your health. And so let's chat a little bit about that, of whatever you're able to, chat about how that's affected your health. And, I mean, as a child, you were 7 when this happened.
I was 8.
You were 8. Okay. You were 8 when this happened. And so there was a lot of trauma then physically and emotionally. And then we had some good years that we went through lots of counseling, lots of stuff like that. And then you had some good years in there. But then more recently, you've had some hard in your life that has brought back some of that past trauma. And so let's just talk about how that has like manifested back into your health and what that looks like now at this age.
I think with being so young and not really like I don't really remember anything
Yeah.
that happened around that time and like younger, like from born to probably 11 years old. I don't really remember much at all.
Yeah, the trauma did a lot, like
So,
removing memory type situation.
yeah, I like blocked everything out. So
Yeah.
like I don't at the time, like I don't really remember how I felt or how my
Right.
health was at that time. I know more of like now things that have come up since then, which was all that stuff that was just stored in that I never got
Yeah.
out. And so lately, let's see, I feel like I forgot the question.
You've had some hard lately. And so how is that like affecting your health now? Like how is that trauma from back then that maybe wasn't completely resolved, that's stored in your body, even though we did lots of therapy and lots of things. Now when something hard comes up, how does that like show
Well,
back
I
up
think
health-wise?
back to like the MTHFR stuff, I think not knowing I had that. So like
Yeah.
I had all the trauma stuff, so that's a lot on your body
Yeah.
as already. And then like finding out all the MTHFR stuff, if we had known that when I was 8 years old, it probably would have helped.
It would have at least cut it in half.
Because then I wouldn't have all that stuff, like
Yeah.
all those toxins making my mental health or emotional or whatever even worse.
Right.
But I feel like through those 11 to like, honestly now, but there was a lot of like anxiety that I dealt with. But more recently, I think having gotten back into therapy, talk therapy, and like working through things, I think whenever you actually like go through processing something, that's when everything comes out. So that's probably why I had so many health things the past couple of years. Like it was all just like trying to come out.
Yeah.
From,
I think of that book, The Body Keeps Score.
Yes.
It's just all stored in there. And when you were younger, you did a lot of therapy, but it was like play therapy. It was a lot of splunkna. And if you don't know what splunkna is, it's like a, well, I don't even know how to explain it.
I don't know either.
But it's amazing therapy, especially for children who don't have the ability to put into words what's going on in their body or in their head. So it's phenomenal, but there's not a lot of talking, so you aren't talking it out. So I feel like,
and I wasn't someone who talked at all.
no,
Anyways,
she was like
I talked to nobody.
Nobody. She was a quiet kid, invisible.
And
no one knew.
Was honestly that same kid until like a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
but
I do think, like you said, from like age 11 up, your anxiety was really hard to manage.
But I never talked about it, so I never was.
No,
like, it was
she would just always have anxiety. She wouldn't do anything new. She wouldn't meet new people. Not a lot of friendships because you just kept to yourself because it was easier with your anxiety. Where now, more recently, you've done some therapy recently. And how's your health doing now this time?
I'll definitely say it's still hard, but it's a lot different. And having like the past year or two, having gone to talk therapy, my therapist has said that like I am a verbal processor. Yeah. Which explains like how I had so much anxiety like through my younger years whenever I was just doing Splunkna, which was good at the time. But I think like then talking through everything, it like made just the biggest difference. Yeah. Now it's still like, because so much stuff was suppressed, I still have to get it all out and process it and go through those. So it's not easy. Yeah. But.
And do you think, I mean, I feel like also what the trauma was around, loss and all that, as you get older, things will probably come up as things happen. You know, something hard, you have a loss, whether it's just someone leaving or someone dying, whatever. Yes, it's going to keep coming up. It's going to trigger.
It does
those things, but as you get older,
which has been something lately. Yeah, that has happened, and
you've had to figure out how to manage that, knowing that there is an end in sight. You are going to see the goodness again. You're not going to live in that spot.
Not though, like. Still treating stuff like grief, though.
Yes.
And not being like, oh, I shouldn't feel this way, or like this isn't the same kind of grief, even though it kind of is. Yeah. So it's like, you can allow yourself to feel that way and to like understand that it brings up these same things, which is a lot to go through. Yeah. I don't know if this is really what we were talking about.
No, it's fine. I'm in school. I don't know. for coaching certification, and they always talk about it's good to have someone that just holds space for you while you process it, not just like, and that's the same for you. Like you have to hold space for yourself to feel all of those feelings, even though at the time it's like, oh my gosh, this is so ridiculous. This is making me not sleep. This is making me not move forward. Like I need to get past this, because in your mind you're thinking like, this is ridiculous. I need to move on. But also your body is saying
going through like so much trauma growing up, like I know, like at this point now, what I'm going through now, like I know that it is important to take the time to rest and to feel your emotions and to sit with it and go through that rather than just moving on. And like at some point you will have to deal with it. You never, anytime something happens, you have to deal with it at some point, whether you deal with it when it happens and work through that, or it's 10 years later whenever you get in a relationship or you get in a job and it's like it comes up and then it causes a lot of problems when. So now at some point, you will have to deal with it. So I'm trying to remind myself of that this time, because like knowing all that I've known growing up,
too, because I'm just like, oh my gosh,
yes,
there's more crying.
I'm like, no, you have to listen to me. But I know this is gonna be a quicker process if I go through it now, rather than being like, you can't feel this, you can't do this, and we have to be okay.
Yeah, we always, in our last podcast, we talked about being proactive, not reactive. And I think this is a perfect example of that. As soon as you knew this hard was coming, you knew this hard was hitting you, you very proactively made therapy appointments, took extra supplements that you knew were going to need to be helped, get extra sleep, like got with friends, booked a lot of things with friends, stuff like that. You were real proactive to help, instead of just wait till it all hits the fan and you crumble and fall apart, right?
Yeah, which I still have some crumble and fall apart moments.
But don't we all?
That's normal. That's normal.
Just normal
it's okay
life
to be that way.
Yeah, that's normal
that
life.
Will happen. And that's a good thing, I think.
Yeah. So often in our culture, it's the easy fix would be get on antidepressants, take medication. You shouldn't be feeling this way. And that's just not how life is.
But then
life
what happens when you get off the antidepressants?
Yeah, life is like this, and we're meant to experience the ups, the downs, the ups and downs, and that's what makes us stronger. And I'm not saying if you are on that, that's a total your choice type thing. Like you need
and
to
there's a time for it.
There is a time and a place for everything. So don't take that as like I'm judging for that. But that is the leading thing that they just automatically offer you before anything else.
Yeah.
And so often diet, sleep, therapy,
which is why
such a great,
your health is and your diet and all that is so important.
So important, yeah.
Because I know like if I go out to eat one day, then like the next day or afterwards, I can tell such a difference in like how my body feels, but then also how like I am mentally. Like I'm just so down because I went out to eat.
And you're also
just
really
because
good about exercise.
I eat so it's such a shock to me.
Yeah,
but
you're also really good about exercise too, in making sure like. Even if you don't want to, you try to get up and go because you know that'll make you feel better. Well, anything else you want to add to that?
I think we should talk about faith a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead. I don't have a good question for you, so do you have?
Let me think what we were
really talking about. I mean, obviously, conservative mom here. She went to private school for kindergarten through 3rd grade. And then I homeschooled her from 4th grade through high school. So she graduated from homeschooling.
Yes.
She was a 22-hour-a-week competitive dancer. So homeschooling made that possible. Yes. If she went to school, that would have been really hard to manage and cope and stay ahead. And so she definitely was the guinea pig. But she went to college. She graduated with her associates, so I mean, I did something right. And she's contemplating going into college in the fall.
We will see.
We will see. She's, we'll see.
Yeah, but faith-wise,
yeah, I was getting to that.
I think going back to like the accident, like if I've thought about a lot recently, like how. I don't know how people go through hard things if they don't have a relationship with God or have any kind of community like that, have hope, really. Yeah. And so it's like thinking back to the accident, like there was so much, even though I don't really remember a whole lot, I know like our church community showed up for us a lot. Then like the later years when I was dealing with a lot of anxiety, I knew like I did a lot of Bible journaling with you and like I listened to worship music a whole lot.
Yeah.
And that has been something that's, like, consistent through my life. Like, I always listen to worship music, but, like, whenever it's really hard, like, making sure that is, like, your
Right in the forefront
go-to,
there. Yeah.
not like, oh, I'm sad, so I'm going to go listen to a bunch of sad music. And I actually did do that a lot. And I could tell that it made such a difference. Like, it made me stay in such a sad state for like a long time, but then I was like, one day I was like, I can't keep doing this. Like, yes, these songs are good, but this is not benefiting me at all. And so there was a time where I completely cut that out and I just listened to worship music, and the impact that it had on my life was crazy.
Yeah.
And so now, like, I'm very careful about it now because I know how big of a difference it makes. And so I feel like that's been a lot, like, on my mind a lot recently.
Yeah,
Like,
same. I've listened to several podcasts recently of secular podcasts, like not Christians, not at all, but then had Christians on, and just to see people that are going through things and don't have that is
it's
just
heartbreaking, honestly.
It really is. It really is. I listened to somebody today, and this is somebody I actually have met in real life, and she was doing like a podcast, and she was talking about how she doesn't know how to pray and she wishes she knew how to pray. And she just went on, and she's not a Christian. And I was just like, wanted to like reach through the screen and like hug her and be like, I can teach you how to pray. I mean, I'm not some major prayer here, like as far as like, I'm not like eloquent or anything, but
Which you don't have to be.
no, it's just talking to God. Like, and
Yes,
she
just
knows
a
how to talk. She's
conversation.
doing a podcast. She's a yapper, and you just think, but it's like, I don't know, the people that don't have that, but she was longing for it and practically begging on the podcast for that. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I just can't even imagine not having that ability to just talk to God when I need to talk to God.
Or read the Bible and like have all these stories that like show all these people going through hard things, but then like still having something come out of it. I've been trying to do the Bible in a year and going through Psalms a lot. It's crazy to read because Psalms is so much of like just pouring out your heart, like David's pouring out his heart to God, but then always incorporating like praise be to the Lord or whatever, like still like he's pouring out all this stuff that he's going through, but still like God is so good, which is
just still saying
which is like just shows the joy that you have in the Lord. Like even though you're going through hard things, like there's still so much joy and hope that you can have, and the fact that so many people don't have that is just heartbreaking. Or people that think they have it but they don't, and it's a different way. It's like, man, if you just had this real thing.
And you see it, even I know people that have religion, but never actually have the comfort of God. They never get the comfort because they're missing that aspect of truly knowing the Lord and truly giving over your life to the Lord. And so they're missing that aspect. And so they lose the comfort side. So when there's a tragedy and when there's that, they don't understand how you can survive.
There isn't that comfort because it's
they're
not
trying to do it in their own
personal,
strength.
really.
They're trying to do it in their own strength. So,
yes.
Yeah.
Well, was that
anything else you want to add on there? This is a little different than our normal, topic and all. And I mean, maybe we can expand on more things at another time. But
yes, we'll have to do a second episode. Part 2.
Part 2 of I don't know what the next other part would be.
I'm sure we could find some stuff.
Yeah. Maybe I could quiz you on politics or something, a civics lesson.
Oh, boy. I think that would be kind of
embarrassing.
And, like, embarrassing for you, honestly, probably.
Wow.
Because,
It's true. No, I get it.
Like, you'd hope me to know me to know so much, and I feel like I wouldn't.
I feel like if I say to you, like, something about a famous artist, you would get it. But if I said something about
it depends. There's a lot of stuff that I just don't know.
There's a lot you don't remember because you've lost a lot of that. But Ross, my oldest, he's 25, and he did art. I taught art for 5 years, and he was in all 5 years of my art classes. And he will bring up art things and be like, "Oh, do you remember when Renoir did this?" And I was like, "Oh, thank the Lord."
Yeah,
they remember something.
I'm sorry, I'm not that for you. I wish, but yeah, I don't really remember anything.
Oh well. You know what? What really matters is she's living a healthy life. She loves the Lord.
I am doing my best.
She's moving forward. And so, I mean, if you don't know what Renoir painted or what the executive branch does, I guess I'll cut you some slack.
Yeah. Maybe I should learn. But I listened to your podcast, so
There's that. You
Yeah.
at least know what the current events
now
are.
that I am like in a healthier state, I could probably actually learn stuff and remember it and comprehend it. So
Yeah. Well, now it's
Yes.
much smaller bites because it's not as intense as like during election season was. This
true.
one, she opted out. She was supposed to go to the inauguration with us, and she was like, "I don't really want to do that."
I'm sure I wanted to go just to see DC. I didn't really.
Yeah, but then once we
care
were
about
there,
it.
she was disappointed.
Yes, I wish I had gone.
Yeah,
But
because we had such a good time and it was so
it was a
great.
once in a lifetime opportunity.
Once in a lifetime. It was cold, but I loved every second of it. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, I guess that's all we have for today. I'm going to put a plug in for our sponsor, even though
Frontier Coffee.
Frontier Coffee, even though we don't have, we should have worn our Frontier Coffee shirts.
We should have.
Even though I don't have a bag of coffee to show you and they don't have a studio right now, so they're not helping me out in any way. But I'm just kidding.
But soon, they're in their new building now.
Soon,
So.
yes. I did stop by there the other day and saw Nate, and it's looking good. And they're having a big event in July out at the new headquarters and stuff. So we'll let you know about that stuff. But yeah, Frontier
Exciting
Coffee.
stuff. Well, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for joining me.
This was fun.
It was. And Caroline, she missed it, but maybe.
We'll see her next time.
Yeah, she might be doing this. We're going to the beach next week, so she may be doing a solo one. So stay tuned. Maybe she'll bring her kid on.
Fun, yes.
Yeah.
I think she should.
All right. See you next time.
Bye. I think that was